obviously had a good win versus Miami on Saturday, had a great lead, had a great first half, and then the second half, Miami kind of a tale of two halves. Fortunately, we made enough plays late that we were fortunate to get a win. Gave us our 5th straight home win in ACC play. Got us to nine ACC wins, which hasn't been done here in a long time. 5th straight home win in ACC play, hadn't been done in a long time. 5th straight game in ACC play, we've held the team under 60 points. Right now we're sitting at 3rd in the country in 3-point defense. I think 22 in the country in overall defense. So, and then we've got 2 tough games this week. Got Wednesday, tomorrow versus Pittsburgh, who kicked our butt the first time we played them. I think they're really, really talented. I think they got a lot of really good players. I think Coach Capel's a great coach. I think their team, Pittsburgh, will be one of the preseason top 25 teams next year. Probably top 3 in the league. Preseason top 3 or 4 will be picked in the league going into the year because they got their whole team back. They're really good. And then obviously Clemson on Friday, who Coach Brunell's done one of the great jobs in all of college basketball. I mean, look who they've beaten at home, and I just think they're really well coached, and they got a lot of really good players, and they're a really good basketball team. So we'll have to play really, really well this week if we're going to have an opportunity to win the game. Obviously, the news we got yesterday was disappointing for all of us. However, we've got a lot to play for this week, and a lot to play for in the sense that there's a lot of things that hasn't been done here at Georgia Tech in a long time. In a long, long time, having an opportunity to win 6 straight ACC games, having an opportunity to get to double-digit wins in the league play, having an opportunity to have the possibility of finishing with a record of 500 or even better in ACC play, having the opportunity to finish 5th place, because you control your own destiny, to get to 5th place in this league, which would be the highest finish, 1 ever in the realignment, and 2, 5th place would be the highest finish in a really long time. It also, one of our goals coming in this year was not to play on Tuesday, or basically not to play on the 10th through the 15th, be 9th or above, to continue to move forward in our progression of our program, and that is something that gives us another opportunity to accomplish that. So, look, I mean, I feel awful for our 2 seniors in James Banks and Shambari Phillips. I mean, those 2 guys are just outstanding young men. I feel awful for those guys. I feel awful for our team because that's for those guys. But we are in total support of I'm in total support of Mr. Stansberry and the administration, and we understand that we had to make a decision what was best to protect next season as well too, and it obviously stinks for everybody, but these young men we respect the decision, we respect the process, and we're ready to play really well this week and then get better and get ready for next season.
Do you think this is something that's been kicked around for a while before they finally announced it yesterday?
Yeah, Mr. Stansberry and my bosses had instructed me just to coach the entire time.
Yeah.
So, they were handling all that, and my job and directive was just to coach the team, and I was just staying in my lane, and I'm a big chain of command guy, so I'm going to do what my bosses tell me to do.
What was that conversation like with Todd?
Yeah, no, when I met with Mr. Stansberry, I mean, he let me know before he met with the team. Again, I'm in the foxhole with Mr. Stansberry. I mean, the guy I think is the best athletic director in the country. Just he's an incredible human being. As great of an athletic director as Mr. Stansberry is, I think he's even a better human being. He's awesome. So I know it wasn't easy for him either to have to make that decision. But I understand it. And so he told me, and we, obviously you feel awful for the guys, you feel awful for the 2 seniors, but we understood we had to do what's best for the program for the long term, and so he had to make that decision.
And for you to put this behind you, kind of look at where you're feeling?
Yeah, look, I mean, I love my job. I love everything about my job. I was just telling Andy last night, most coaches probably complain about doing the radio show. I love doing the radio show at night. I love doing the TV show. I love going to league meetings. I mean, most people complain about the time they got to be at league meetings. I'm like, man, I'm just so grateful to be able to be there. I don't mind doing the media. And so I love every part of the job. And so with that comes, there's some things that, you get punched in the gut with the job too, but you got to take it. And so you try to have an outlook is just, the glass is always overflowing. So the nice thing is we can, with this decision, that we can now, let's finish out, we have a lot to play for, let's finish out the right way, and then we can kind of be clear going into next season, knowing we're not having to worry and rest on an appeal or a committee decision to determine if we can be in the NCAA tournament next year or not. And so that's exciting to be able to have that to move forward.
Would you say it's kind of challenging to kind of pump up the team for the next final 2 games?
Well, you know what, I think it's been challenging all year in a sense that the guys have, that it's not easy to, and they didn't know, but that's a real kudos to our young men because they've played hard all the time, and I don't. Our standard is nothing less than that. So for what we have to play for this week, it's not going to be any different than what from the previous week. So they're going to give us great effort. They're going to leave it all on the floor. They're going to compete. They're going to have great competitive excellence, and we have chances to do something here that has not been done in Georgia Tech history in a long time. And so, I've told the guys, I was on the team when we won the national championship in 1997. I understand it's a different thing you're going for, but we had the entire team back in '98. I knew, man, if we could win that night, we ended up losing the Elite Eight to Utah, but I knew if we would have won that thing, you're in rarefied air, and we didn't win it, and you just, and things, you coulda, shoulda, woulda, or I've been on other teams where coulda, shoulda, woulda, and so we've got a chance to do things that haven't been done here. And we can't, I don't want to go in the offseason and have coulda, shoulda, woulda, so we're not going to allow that, even though after Friday's our last game for this season, we're going to go play and compete and try to win these 2 games and finish off this season on a really high note.
Will that resonate with the team, you think, that message?
Yeah, I've been talking about that for a while.
These goals that are...
Yeah, and Steve, it's important for us to be able to have that opportunity to do that. I mean, things we can accomplish has not been done here in this program in a long time. So there's a lot to play for. Now we got to first take care of business Wednesday, and the 2 teams we're playing are really good, and we're gonna have to play our best basketball of the year, both tomorrow night and Friday, if we want to have a chance to continue to move that needle forward.
Well, when you told the team, could you feel the air leave the room? Did you have to reinflate the room at all? Or?
I think when Mr. Stansberry gave a great talk, and then he had left, and then I was with the team. And I could see in their faces there was some dejection and some air coming out, but these young men are resilient, and after a while we talked things through. They asked some questions, and when it was all said and done, we got on the practice floor and had a good practice, and we're getting ready to get at it after today.
What has James meant to you and to the team?
James Banks has been just an incredible human being. I mean, just an awesome person. He's continued to get better. I love him as a human being, and it wouldn't surprise me if he runs for the governor or mayor one day, just because of his ability to connect with people. He's got a chance to play basketball for a long time, and he's got a really beautiful soul.
Well, asking about players, I'm going to ask you about Jose real quick. What has he meant to you and to the program, he's kind of the initial guy?
Yeah.
You got in here and kind of set a message and a standard, I think.
Well, Steve, 2 things. One is when I saw Jose on a Sunday morning I saw Jose a lot, but what convinced me to really believe in Jose was on a Sunday morning AAU game when his team wasn't playing as hard, and he was the one guy that was fighting every tooth and nail to win, and he jumped on the guys because they weren't playing as hard as him, and I fell in love with it because I figured to where we started, I needed to get guys in this program that when we line up in the national anthem, and that sweat's coming down, man. They're ready to and they're looking across that way. They're ready to go for the jugular vein of the opponent, regardless of what the name's on the front of the jersey of the opponent. And Jose Alvarado, winning was more important to him than breathing. I mean, I really believe he wants to win so bad. And that, Steve, I said in the beginning of the year, our number one thing is our key guys have to stay healthy because of our lack of depth in some areas. And our number one key guy is Alvarado. And as in terms of just because he's the engine of what makes us go to the head of our snake, and that really hurt us in that stretch of November, December, and probably, it changed our record in a sense. And that's why I kept saying we're better than our record, because, once Alvarado got back, we just became a better team. And that's what we were at the beginning of the year when we beat at North Carolina State. And it was just an unfortunate deal. And that's part of basketball, is being trying to stay injury free. But Jose is our he's our engine. He's the head of our snake.
Was it your sense, talking with Todd, that the reason this came that it did, that he was kind of waiting to see if the team would have a better chance of the tournament?
Well, look, if we were, in the top 25 in the country and a lock, it would probably be I would assume it would be a different decision. But we're not in that position right now, and so. And so that's why I fully understand what Mr. Stansbury had to do. And, he's not in an easy position. And I get it. And so, but I'm just telling you, he knows how good we could be next year. And I'm not a next year guy. I'm not that type of guy, because you're always about the year at hand. But I have continued to say, this Ken and anyone that was there, I've always have contested that I believe when I got the job that it's going to be I believe in our process and our vision of what we got there. I've not wavered one bit in our vision of where we want to get to. You've got to get a little lucky. You got to get some breaks along the way, but I've always said by year 5 we should have our best team with the real opportunity of doing well in the NCAA, or getting in the tournament and having a chance to win games in the tournament, NCAA tournament. I have not wavered on that vision. Again, you got to get a little lucky, because you got to get healthy, you got to stay healthy, and you got to get the ball about your way here and there. But I'm in the foxhole with Mr. Stansbury, so if he tells me to jump, I'll ask him how high, and that's kind of how I view my relationship with him.
How did Shabari, you were able to talk to him?
Yeah, I think for Shabari and James, for both of those young men who are phenomenal young men, that's the hardest part, is they don't get another chance at it. And I know for Mr. Stansbury and for all of us, that it stings for everybody, but it especially stings for those two. And but we talked to them and after the fact, and they understood, and they've handled it like they've handled it like a grown adult would, and they've been gracious and understand. We know we got to play the right way in these next 2 games.
Will you watch the ACC tournament, or?
Steve, I'm a basketball guy, and I don't know if it does me any good just sitting around here. So I might actually go to the tournament and watch a day or 2 of the games. But I'm just a basketball junkie. So yeah, I'll probably be.
Kind of leave the what ifs at home, or?
Yeah, the what ifs. As much as I would, you can think things through, but it's easier said than done, but it's easy to get into the what if game. But however, I'm sure North Carolina State's thinking, well, what if, we grab that ball at the end of the first game of the season, and I'm saying, well, what if the guy from Arkansas shoots it over the goal instead of banks it in? And there's a lot of those things. Or what if Michael DeVoe makes the shot at Louisville compared to at home? What if this or that? So. There's just a lot of those things, but I think if I'm there, I got to channel my energy and to focus into next season, and really just have an opportunity to watch and see how we can continue to get better, and to see what those teams in the upper echelon are doing, and how do we try to get to that point.